You want your drums to sound big, right? If you do, that's what this video is about, basically. It's picking some good samples and then making those sound bigger and wider and more interesting, more musical. Working with samples, if you're programming things in, it can get a bit stale sometimes. And if you've got a track where the drums are weak, it does affect how the overall sound of the track comes across. You know, drums are very, very important in music production. I'm going to be talking through like some super quick things, mostly just stock Ableton stuff. I've got this track I'm working on. It's quite a heavy tune. It's got some synths. But we're focusing on the drums. So turn the synths off. Got this kick. Big thick snare. And then a snappy snare. And then these hi-hats. Pretty relentless hi-hats. The first thing I did actually was I went to the hi-hats and wanted to add a bit of movement and like life to them. And Ableton's Shaper plugin was good for that. Those hi-hats are very, very uniform, like don't sound very natural. And for this track, it's got the feel of a drummer really. So I'm adding in the Shaper plugin. Without it, it's kind of dull. With it, and I've set it in a way that it's kind of irregular. And you use this, you kind of map this envelope generator thing to a utility plugin. So here you can see these things jittering around. That's because it's changing the gain output and the left-right balance. So we're getting a little bit of movement from left and right and a little bit of emphasis. That's that first move I did. Other than balancing the volumes of the samples themselves, the other the other move is to put a channel EQ on here. This will be subtle, but if you're on headphones, maybe you'll hear the difference. But it's basically boosting a little bit of the high end, some mid-range presence and some low end. Just a bit more clarity, a bit more high-end energy, and I've got these more musical EQ curves built into it. The other thing is the drum bus plugin, which is amazing. Whack it on. Immediately better, immediately just more vibrant. I've got the transient being slightly extended, the crunch drive up, and then I'm bringing the volume down just so that the actual output is the same. The volume is the same as when it's not on. It sounds louder, but it actually isn't. All an illusion. And if I wanted to go even more insane with that, I could put the compression on. Anyway, for this tune, I prefer it without the compression at the moment. The other thing I'm doing is layering another snare in here, which is from Purified Audio. Basically, it's a really nice snare drum that they've sampled, and you've got different microphones and stuff. The mid-range of this snare was nice as a layer, adds a bit more realism to my sample, and then I've got it sent to a widener, the H3000 Eventide. So that's doing some stereo delay. Well, that's it soloed. That's adding a bit of stereo energy on the just the snare hit on this particular snare drum. Finally, one thing that is really good kind of pushing drums into the world of more like sounding like a record and maybe a bit more real is using room reverbs. You can be drastic with this and go like, you know, huge, or go more subtle. I'm using a room here. Actually, this is the Modest Corner plugin preset from Ableton. There you go. It's got the vintage setting on. If I mute it, for me, a subtle bit of room reverb goes a long way, just to like making things feel a bit realer. When, you know, as you add more instruments into the track, you can then blend those into the same room. That room sound is all of the sounds living together in a space. Blend a bit of that in and it just adds coherency, really. Sometimes the best way of looking at it is you don't notice it when it's on, but if you turn it off, it just feels different, it feels flatter. So yeah, I mean, really, that's all I wanted to show you. It's just some quick drum processing stuff, really. It's just that extra layer of thought behind drum production rather than just getting the samples, programming them, making a beat, moving on. Often what sets things apart, really, is this extra level of mixing and enhancing. Cool. Hope that helps you with your drums. Let me know what you think. Comment, like, share this with someone else if they're using Ableton or building drum tracks. It really helps me to get more people to see this kind of content. So thank you.